talk about the people. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
I think
that's the real. Yeah.
This is a real surprise. You know, I think just based on my experience, I feel like people here are a lot warmer, a lot nicer, and they're sort of not in a rush. You know, whereas like California, everyone's just in a rush, and customer service here is a lot better. You know, here I've started to tip like 20% now in most restaurants. You know, just because like I feel like
you feel like you're getting more better service.
If they're you know, you can just feel it, right? And it does enhances the experience of the meal
for sure,
right? So, you know, I haven't experienced any like racism, or maybe
was that something you thought coming here you're going to experience?
I think that's you know, for Asian American, that's definitely the fear. You know, one of the fears or one of the most common misconceptions, right?
Okay.
You hear from our parents, like, or from people. They're like, "Oh, aren't they racist out there? You know, isn't it Trump country out there?" I mean, both are probably true.
I mean, people can find what they're looking for, I'm sure.
You know, but like if you go like, you know, an hour outside the Bay Area, it's not that much different. You know? So, you know, I think that's nice. People
are welcoming here.
Yeah, people are more welcoming, more respectful. Except when they're driving, then they're not.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah,
I think of people as being aggressive drivers here, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because a lot of people have big cars and they just feel like it's like I've got a big car, I own the road.
The road is really wide, right? And then, you know, in Texas you can see really far out when you're driving because
really far out.
The flat plains, right? And sometimes you just kind of doze off when you're driving. You know, you just kind of like drift a little bit into the other lanes.
That's something I've been here about a decade now. Actually, a decade this year. And I noticed that early on. I was like, whoa, the driving here is different. But I hadn't really lived in a city before. So I started here in Dallas. And so, of course, there's a lot more traffic in Dallas proper. Right. And so I just attribute it to being city people. But as I've assessed over time, I'm like, I think there's something about here where people just tend to not be super great drivers.
Yeah. I've definitely had a few close calls. I'd learned to kind of just like distance, you know, because it's very hard to go really fast on like a really wide road, right? And, you know, big cars take a long time to stop. So sometimes you see really bad accidents, you know, and that's what I would recommend, you know, for people considering moving here.
Well, also if you're going to drive here, get a driver's license because it takes forever. And it's not the state's fault. It's like there's a backlog.
There's just so many people. Yeah. I think that's crazy to think about. It's just how many people are thinking about moving here, right? And
well, were you back home over the holidays? Like, how many people did you talk to that were like, "Oh, we're thinking about moving"?
A lot of people say that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just talking, but I think it's on a lot of people's minds.
It's a lot of people's minds
in California.
More people now are probably open to considering moving somewhere than ever before. Yeah. Right. I know for my wife, she had a couple of her friends that moved to Vegas, right, and you know they were basically Bay Area natives that thought like, oh, I'd never leave the Bay Area, right? Why would I leave here, right? And then they did. Right.
And now they're somewhere else.
And then they're somewhere else, right? And they like it.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it's well, I think change is good for anybody too. Like,